Hi everyone! This will be a pretty straightforward painting tutorial with some tips on how to handle acrylics. You can see that we had several sketches, and the client actually picked my favorite one. She's looking off away from the camera into the distance. For portraits, I like to sketch the face in more detail, just to get a feel for how the features come together, and of course to figure out light and shadows, which I always struggle with. I used a layer of gesso on top of the canvas to make it easier to work on, and smoothed it out with sandpaper. Then I painted the background completely separate from everything else. As I was using slow-drying acrylics, I wanted to make sure that the background was completely dry. I gave it a day and then started on the face, using the reference sketches and a reference picture to fill in base shadows. I am a slow painter on the best of days, but I like to take it even slower when working on canvas, adding layers of color on top of each other to build up texture. I mentioned slow-drying acrylics. I actually only have 3 shades of those. They are the golden open acrylics, and I have a titanium white, carbon black, and yellow ochre. I can mix these very basic colors with my regular acrylics to prolong their drying time, and also save money. Since this portrait is mostly cool-toned, the yellow ochre got left aside, and I instead combined the more saturated colors that I didn't want to desaturate with white or black, with a drop or 2 of golden retarder. If you get just one acrylic medium, I really recommend that one. It too slows down drying times and makes blending a lot easier, and a little bit goes really a long way without actually changing the texture of the acrylic paint all that much. Not sure how this goes for you, but I rarely get completely uninterrupted painting time, and the retarder also helps with that. It's frustrating to have to get up, take care of something else, and then sit down 2 minutes later to find all your mixed color completely dried. I also squeeze my colors from the tube into these little pots on the palette. They stay wet for days that way, though it depends on the brand, and even within the same brand, there are differences for the different colors. My Shinhan Ultramarine Blue is still wet after 2 weeks, but the burnt sienna usually dries up within a day, even if the lid is closed. Acrylics can be a bit tricky to handle, but I still enjoy them a lot. It's actually really fun to experiment and figure out how to use them best. They are also much safer to use if, like me, you don't have a separate studio room or office. I'm not comfortable using oil colors since my desk is in the same open space as our kitchen and living room, and we have a cat too. One more reason to put all my paints in little pots with lids instead of on an open palette. For this one, I painted on canvas, and the character is a commissioned one. She's a half-drow artificer, so there are the dark elf elements like red eyes and a purple-grey hue to the skin, but she's able to live above ground with a measure of sun protection. I really like the character concept, and we focused on making her look optimistic and a bit vulnerable, since that's the point the character is at in the story. enough about the paint and back to the painting. 80% of the time went into getting all the values and shades right, but now comes my favorite part, detailing. This final stage is when I get to bring out my tiniest gouache brush and work on hair strands, highlights on the lips, details on the eyes, all that fun stuff. Something fun about this character, as she is half Drow, her skin is very sensitive to sunlight. She wears a protective hood and goggles most of the time, but still catches some sun at dawn or dusk, which is the kind of lighting I hinted at in the background. So she has freckles. I added some dots in a purple shade just slightly darker than her skin, and once those dried, I took an even smaller brush and added more darkness to some of the freckles to keep them looking natural instead of as if painted on top of the skin. I really enjoy the effect this created and can't wait to paint more freckles on other portraits in the future. I was using slow-drying acrylics that usually should be dry within 10 days, but it has been very humid in Korea, so in the end I waited a good 4 weeks before safely applying an isolation coat and then even later varnished the piece. I'm still new to acrylics, but I hope my own learning experiences and ramblings can help or at the very least motivate you. If you have any questions about materials I use or painting techniques in general, just leave a comment and I can go in more detail soon. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you again soon with another video.